How good is Sean O'Malley really? That is what we'll attempt to answer today and lay out some interesting stats about the fighter and the record. There's hype because a UFC fighter is incredible at what they do, and then there's hype because the guy is just charismatic and has that energy surrounding them. That's the case with Sean O'Malley as he continues to dominate fighters. Well, mostly fighters out unranked, but he's shown that his striking is level above his opponents so far. Now that doesn't mean I think he's going to be at the top of his division, which are filled with killers. I think anyone in the top 15 of the bantamweight division can compete with each other. Before we get started, we're going to start sharing some polls and new videos each week around fighters and their lifestyle. If you're interested in hearing more takes like these, feel free to subscribe and like below. Special shout out to a comment by Craig who said this about Islam. What really surprises me is that his natural slow motion appearance in real life, yet an absolute killer in a cage. I agree with this 100%. Underneath the calm and quiet demeanor of Islam is a savage in the cage, and I hope we get to see more of that. So what's so special about Sean O'Malley? Sean O'Malley has been one of the popular fighters who hasn't been ranked in the top 10 or even 15 for very long. He started his career in the UFC after defeating his opponent in Dana White's Contender Series, showing for the first time to Daddy Dana what it was like to be part of the Sugar Show. Since then, it's been nothing but highlights or lowlights, either way he's blowing up, as Sean has been able to explode onto the UFC bantamweight division. He's knocked out some tough opponents like Eddie Wineland and Thomas Almeida, and of course, tough doesn't always mean skillful. Both of these fighters were scrappy in nature, but many would say that they are either past their prime or they're just not at the same level. Still, it's hard to knock out opponents the way Sean has, especially those with veteran experiences of Wineland and Almeida. Not only a solid striker with an ability to knock out his opponents, O'Malley has been developing his own brand and exposure outside of the MMA community. Many people might not know of the podcast and prank videos that he's done on his YouTube channel, showing that he's trying to branch out. But that begs the question of whether he's actually committed to MMA and can achieve the skill set that champions can only get by focusing solely on their training. Top level striker. It's clear that O'Malley has everything physically to make him a striker at the highest level. The star is 5 foot 11 inches, which makes him the top 10% of all fighters in his division. And according to stats by Fight Matrix, the top 50 fighters in the bantamweight division is only around 5 foot 6, which means O'Malley is already taller and longer than most of his opponents. Sean's reach is 72 inches, which is comparable to Daniel Cormier, who also stands at 5 foot 11 inches and has a reach of 72.5. They also happen to be 100 pounds apart between the heavyweight and the bantamweight division, but that goes to show the anomaly of someone like Sean in his weight class. The average reach is just 69 inches. This means in most matchups, O'Malley automatically has a 3-inch reach advantage. That's huge and allows him to strike and evade the opponent's counters as well. The second part that makes O'Malley's physical ability is his speed, which I would say is also at the top of the division. He's been able to put together combinations and feints so quickly and fluidly that it's hard for his opponents to react. During his fight with Eddie Wineland, prior to the KO he landed, you can see that Sean actually had a slight uppercut feint, which Wineland reacted to by putting his hands down, and this led to the easy right straight, sending him straight into the Shadow Realms. To cap this off, O'Malley has physical attributes in height and arm reach, which gives him an advantage in range against most other fighters in his class. The addition of his speed and striking combination makes it almost impossible to react to everything that he's doing for his opponents. Many fighters have tried to stand and hang with him, but the only one who's been able to do that was Chito Vera, who's now ranked in the top 5 of the division. So this leads us into Sean's weaknesses, which includes grappling and, of course, his brittleness and possibly leg strength. The losses on O'Malley's record was when his knee gave out from a leg kick, and this allowed Chito Vera to get on top and dominate him with ground and pound. Aside from this one freak accident, Sean has also broken his foot when fighting Andre in 2018, even though he did win with a decision. We can assume that O'Malley has worked on both blocking kicks and strengthening his legs, but we know that this is always an issue for longer fighters and lankier ones. As we all know, MMA is all about the combination of different martial art forms, and you cannot rely on just one kind to get you to the top. There's grapplers at the top of the bantamweight division like Aljamain Sterling and TJ Dillashaw. So one of the other questions around Sean is his grappling skill set. We haven't seen him grapple extensively, so it's hard to tell even though he does have a brown belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, what are your thoughts on how good Sean O'Malley really is? Do you think he has the physical attributes and skill sets to get him to the top of the division and maybe even challenge for the championship belt? Let us know in the comments below and we'll try to respond to each and every one. Thanks again for tuning into this video on how good is Sean O'Malley really. We appreciate the support as always and make sure to subscribe to never miss a video. Goodbye for now and we'll see you next time on Knockout TV.